Hey everyone, this is Christopher Luxon, the former CEO of Air New Zealand.
This is John Lee Dumas, the founder and host of Entrepreneurs on Fire.
This is Tracy Ibarra. I'm in Executive Solutions at Dell Technologies.
This is Travis Chappell, founder of Build Your Network. If you are wanting to learn how to embrace change,
To navigate through disruption as a leader,
then listen to the Leadership is Changing podcast.
The Leadership is Changing podcast.
the Leadership is Changing podcast with my good friend,
my very good friend, Denis Giannoutsos.
Welcome to Leadership is Changing. Each week, we and our guests provide information and insights through exploring leading change. This is taking your leadership to another level by finding the balance between executive excellence and personal well-being through stories that inspire real change. It's time to adapt in our fast-moving world when leadership is changing with your host, Denis Giannoutsos.
Hey, welcome to the show, Leadership is Changing. What we as leaders know to be true is that change is constant. Leaders everywhere confront similar obstacles because people are people, but everywhere you go, leaders are overwhelmed, disrupted, and under pressure. They run from email to email, meeting to meeting. Many leaders are not changing quick enough, which means they run the risk of becoming irrelevant and being left behind. The purpose of the show is taking our listeners' leadership to another level by finding the balance between executive excellence and personal well-being through stories that inspire real change. I believe we don't have enough effective leaders in the world today, and if we can get the leaders to step up and lead change, then they can inspire real change. Hey listeners, it's now time to adapt in our fast-moving world, and I want to welcome you to this Ask Denis episode, which is a freestyle episode. Hey listeners, if you haven't checked out the Facebook group, Leadership is Changing, go ahead and check it out and join that group. We'd love to see you there. And the other thing too, if you haven't checked out the LinkedIn page, Leadership is Changing, we look forward to seeing you there as well. So the Ask Denis episode, which is a freestyle episode, is where I'm asked a question by our listeners or share my thoughts, insights, and experiences from working with leaders around the globe. All right, so today I want to talk to you about a topic here, which is buy the damn bike. How come people don't make decisions or take action? That's an interesting topic that we're going to be talking about very soon. But before I go there, hey, episode 100 came out this week, and it was just a fantastic sort of celebration, to call it that, and also a milestone in reaching it. But also I just wanted to say that after 7.5 months and reaching 100 episodes and interviewing some fantastic guests and also sharing on the Ask Denis episodes, it's been a real pleasure in bringing you topics, discussions, information around leadership is changing. Thank you to all of you for the wonderful comments around the podcast and around the episode 100. And glad to hear that people are really enjoying the podcast in general, and that huge learnings for various people. And also that people are taking quotes already from the podcast, in particular episode 100 the other day, and posting it on their own pages and so forth, and referring to the podcast and, of course, myself as the host. Hey, listen, messages from around the world has been amazing. Just to know the fact that I could actually have a voice of impact, a voice whereby my voice has been heard, but also helping my guest's voice being heard, while also at the same time helping the listeners grow their leadership, their capability, their skills to enable their voice, their leadership voice, to grow and be of impact as well. And it's a real pleasure to be able to do that. Okay, so today, team, I want to talk about buy the damn bike. Go ahead, make a decision. So why don't people make decisions or take action? A lot of people procrastinate. A lot of people are like deers in the headlights of a car. They're just stunned. They are paralyzed. They don't know what to do. People don't back themselves, so they don't make the decision. They have the fear of doing the right thing. Is it going to be correct? Am I going to do it right? Or is this thing that I'm wanting to do right? Well, you'll never know unless you try. The other thing too is that there's the fear of failure. You know, am I going to do something and fail, fall over? Well, you won't know until you try. And so talking about buy the damn bike, that's an actually interesting thing, because what's happened is that over the last 4 months, I've been thinking about buying a mountain bike. And why? Because here I am going to the gym, a gym session, then also doing some swimming, but also wanting to do some biking as well for fitness and getting out there and enjoying nature, but also enjoying fresh air and also getting the heart rate up as well. Why? Because we talk about it, that a lot of leaders need to be in a position whereby they're exercising, sleeping well, drinking water, eating well. And to do that, you need to have certain equipment to be able to do that. Yes, walking can do it, but how do I get the heart rate up? And so I've been looking at buying a mountain bike. I remember as a kid, I was always on a bike. We didn't actually have phones. We didn't have tablets. We didn't have computers in those days to be there. We were actually always on the bike, out in the neighborhood, riding around, having so much fun. Mums and dads calling us out during daylight saving time in the summer, get in here. And it was about 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. Get inside, time to get ready to go to bed. You got school tomorrow. And we just loved doing that all the time. And so I've been wanting to buy a bike, but I've been wanting to do it for the last 4 months and didn't make a decision to do it. Well, I made a decision to actually buy the bike, but I didn't actually go and execute on it. And so what's happened is, what's been quite interesting is that as you search online for various things like mountain bikes, I'm getting all these adverts on social media and so forth about bikes. And I'm like, will you guys stop? Then I searched on headsets and I was like, oh, and I got bombarded with a whole lot of adverts around headsets. You see, the thing here is if you don't go and make a decision in life, the decision will be made for you in the future. And sometimes things get louder and louder and louder until you make that decision. Hence, the Facebook ads got louder and louder and louder. A few weeks ago, I went to a bike store because I've been to a couple and went to one in particular, and it was a huge one. And the store was massive in the sense that I could actually ride the bike around in the store and go for a big long loop. It was huge. And the guy there was fantastic, and he was able to take me through things, and we talked about the pros and cons of different types of bikes, the different makes, the different sizes of the tires, the different frames, and so forth. And, I got onto the bike a couple of times, and I went, oh, that's a bit uncomfortable, that seat. Oh, I don't know if I can get out of my comfort zone and be a little bit sore for a while I try a new thing. I didn't know if I wanted to do that. And that's what happens for a lot of us. We don't want to make a decision. We don't want to go ahead and do something because there might be a little bit of a short-term pain at first. We don't always like that pain. We'd rather stay in our comfort zone and we'll be happy to do that. So at Christmas time, here I was surfing, and then I could see on Facebook Marketplace locally, there was a guy who was actually advertising a bike, exactly the one I wanted, exactly the color. And he only ridden it about 10 times, and it looked immaculate condition. And I thought, yes, that's the one I want to buy. I should go ahead and buy it. So then I made an offer to him. And yes, I went for a lower offer, and he came up, and I was like, okay, that's good. And then I procrastinated, and I decided not to buy it. And I went back to him and said, look, yeah, no, I don't think I'll buy it. And then I thought, well, what happens if it's stolen? What happens if it's not his bike? And there was all these thoughts going through my mind. You know what? Excuses. You know what I mean? Excuses. And when there's excuses, you can either go ahead and do something, or you can make excuses, but you can't do both. And so I was in a situation where I was like, oh, what should I do? Well, that's it. Didn't make the decision. What happened? It got sold right underneath my nose. Yep, sold for the price that I was thinking about. And so somebody else is enjoying that bike. And I thought, what am I going to do? Buy the damn bike. And I was like, And so a lot of people in life, and a lot of people in business, and a lot of people about their careers or starting a business or doing something else around fitness and health, they don't make decisions. And they procrastinate, and they look for all sorts of reasons not to be able to do it. And so their reason isn't big enough. Their why isn't big enough. And so for me, I'm at a situation whereby I just know two things. One is I want to get a lot fitter because there's certain things I want to do in life, and I want to get a lot fitter. Number two, if for some reason we were to go back into another lockdown in this country here, because we're very fortunate, very grateful for being able to get on with life pretty well. But if I was, then I would not be able to go to the gym. I would not be able to go for a swim. But I would be able to go out for a bike ride. I would be able to go out for a walk. But how do I get my heart rate up higher? Yes, I could go up hills and I could go up steps and things like that. But what else could I do? And so the bike could be the right thing to do. Buy the damn bike. So make a decision. And so what happened is that I went and decided to buy the bike. But then, I could buy the bike, but how come there's all these people online trying to sell bikes because they don't use them much? So am I going to end up being one of those people where I paid lots of good money for a bike, but then I don't use it? And then if I don't use it, well, then I'm probably going to be one of those guys who are going to go and sell it as well. So then, should I buy one? Just buy the damn bike, man. Just get on with it. And so it was quite an interesting journey, team, to be able to go through this all and to start thinking about it and going through and thinking about it. You know what? There was an article last week online in the local papers here in this country who turned around and said, look out, there are a lot of bikes for sale on the Facebook marketplaces they were talking about that are stolen. Be careful. And I'm like, whoa, I'm so glad I didn't buy that, eh? Look at that, eh? See, I could have bought a stolen bike. Lucky I didn't do it. So then I started to justify my reasons for not going ahead and do it. So finally, on the weekend, last weekend, I actually purchased a bike. And it was a fantastic feeling. But this is what happened, team. And it's quite interesting to see what happened. So I walked into the store. Mary and I went into the store and I was looking at the bike and I had all sorts of ways in the way I was going to purchase it, what I was going to do. And I looked at different bikes and I thought, okay, cool. That's the size bike I want. That's the type model. And that is the color that I would like. The guy goes, oh, you're about 2 minutes late. I'm like, what do you mean I'm 2 minutes late? Oh, the person over there at the counter buying the bike, that's the bike you want. The model, the size, the color. I went, no. He goes, yes. And we've just had a container. So, team, what's happened here is that we have a lot of ships sitting outside of our country whereby they're not able to dock because we can't actually get the amount of there's a backlog of containers being delivered to the country, which a lot of our shops, a lot of our businesses are running out of product and we're not able to supply the demand. And so he was like, well, we just had a brand new shipment come in, but all these bikes are going out. And that's the last one we have of that size, that color, that model. The guy that was buying it, I could see him here at the other guy and look at me. He paid and he was out the door quickly. He was gone. And I was like, whoa. And so then we started looking at some other colors and I was like, oh, come on. No, it's not what I was looking at for. I really wanted this version and so forth. And the guy said this to me, look, let me go around the back and just see in case I've got some other ones at the back that I don't know about. Literally, in about 3 months later, he walks out with his bike and he's pushing along and he goes, you are a very lucky man. And I says, why is that? He goes, this one was sitting just outside waiting to come in once we had sold the other one and I didn't know about it, but it's available for you. Here it is, the make, the model, the size, the color, everything you want. Here it is. And I was like, okay, let's just buy the damn bike. Buy the damn bike. So we made a decision. I made a decision and we got it done. And actually really cool. So he actually did it. He set up everything, got the helmet, the whole lot, got it all ready for me. And then we put it in the car and been out for rides already. And it's just fantastic to be able to do it. So the moral of the story is this, is that we need to make a decision in whatever you want to do. It's never going to be perfect, team. You can always adapt, adjust, tweak when you're going out there. But you have to get going. You have to do something. So you could take on what others are saying to you about the bike and, oh, you don't need to worry about it, or you should do this, or you should do that, and so forth. But you don't have to own everything they say. You can hear what they're saying, but you don't actually have to own everything that they're saying. Something else I would suggest to you do is that you do your research. Be well informed as you go to make a decision. Because a person who makes a well-informed decision is somebody who's really in control, who knows where they're going. But I've made decisions that have been just on the spot, and we just gone for it, right? And if you can do that, great. You can always tweak. You can always adapt, which is always good. Bounce off others if you need to. But then make sure you get the right people to bounce things off and make sure things are okay. The point here is this. Be deliberate in making decisions. Too many people don't make a decision, and then they're forced into making a decision later. Too many leaders aren't making decisions. Their teams are looking for them to make decisions, and they don't make decisions. They don't share their thoughts and being authentic with people. And that means they start to lose their audience. And so it's really important that we do make decisions. So there's bound to be something right now that you are putting off as a listener right now. Yes, I'm talking to you. You know who you are. I'm talking to you because you're putting something off right now. One thing. It could be to buy a bike. It could be to going to a gym. It could be to go and check out with a doctor, to go and get a new career, start a new business, start a new job, apply for the role that's above your role and that you're not sure. I know there's something that's sort of you're wanting to do, but you're not doing it. I'm going to encourage you, team, to make the decision. Step back, think about it, approach it well, and get in there and make the decision and put things in place. Just buy the damn bike. And then what will happen is that you can go out and enjoy it. Does it really matter now that I've got the bike that I went through or what I went through? No. Because you see, now I've got the bike. Now I can go out and enjoy it. I'm already out enjoying it. I'm loving it. Yes, it's going to take me a few days just to get used to it, but that's all part of the learning process. Have fun on the journey, team. And so that's what's really, really important for you. Hey, listeners, if you haven't checked out the Facebook group, Leadership is Changing, or the LinkedIn page, Leadership is Changing, please come along and join us there. We'd love to see you. I'm also going to give you an offer today once again. And it's an offer for a free 30-minute strategy session with me to talk about you, where you might want to go. Talk about one of those things that you might be wanting to do that's holding you back, or something's holding you back from not going ahead and doing it and making a decision. There could be something around your goals. There could be something around where you want to go next, but you still want to have a confidential conversation with somebody who's going to support you, listen to you, and help ask some really, really cool questions. If that is you, and you're really wanting to do that and have a chat with me, hey, I would love to do that. Feel free to reach out to me. Send me a private message on social media, or in the show notes, you'll see my email. Feel free to send me an email, and we'll catch up, which will be great. Hey, thanks for joining me on today's session. What we as leaders know to be true is that change is constant. Change is incredibly scary, especially with the unknown and the unfamiliar territory. It's time to adapt in our fast-moving world when leadership is changing. Look out for the episodes as they've been released. Download them, have a listen, put a review, a rating, share them with your family, your friends. Team, it's really important that we actually do share it because there's some really strong messages coming through in the interviews and the Ask Denis episodes. Hey, if there's any feedback you'd like to give me about the show, or if there's any question you might have, for our guests as I'm interviewing them, or you have a question for me on the Ask Denis episode, feel free to send me an email, dennis@leadingchangepartners.com. As always, it's a real pleasure being with you. Thanks for joining me on the show today. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time, bye for now.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Leadership is Changing with your host, Denis Giannoutsas. Each week, we and our guests provide information and insights through exploring leading change, inspiring executives and leaders to adapt and lead a bigger game in a fast-moving world.